When I first met Natalie, it felt like I'd finally stumbled into something real. The kind of person who could walk into a crowded room and still draw every pair of eyes to her, not because she tried, but because she didn't have to. Her laugh. Loud, unapologetic. Her presence. Electric. She was magnetic in a way I hadn't known I needed. We met at a mutual friend's rooftop party. She was standing by the railing, drink in hand, wind catching strands of her hair in a way that seemed almost cinematic. We got to talking, small things at first, music, the ridiculousness of astrology, which she believed in religiously and I pretended to understand, and the tragic price of rent in the city. I offered to walk her home that night. She said yes. One date turned into 3. 3 into 5. And before I knew it, she had a toothbrush in my bathroom and her favorite hoodie buried in my laundry pile. I didn't question it. I wanted her there. At first, it felt easy. Exciting. We ordered in too much Thai food, stayed up watching movies we'd both seen a dozen times, and danced in the kitchen at midnight to the 1975 and Florence the Machine. She called me safe. I liked how it sounded coming from her, like I was solid ground. Like I was home. A month in, she started talking about how miserable her living situation was. My roommate's a nightmare, she said one night, sitting cross-legged on my couch. Nursing a glass of wine. She steals my food and uses my shampoo. I hate going back there. Why don't you stay here more? I offered, without thinking. And just like that, she did. She started staying over almost every night. Then she was there every night. Then she stopped calling it my apartment and started calling it ours. At the time, I didn't mind. I told myself this was what love looked like, helping each other, being there through the messy parts. When her hours got cut at work, she broke the news like it physically hurt her. I feel terrible, Ash, she said. I don't want to be a burden. You're not, I replied without hesitation. I've got us. So I picked up the slack. No questions asked. Rent? Covered. Utilities? Handled. Groceries? I stopped asking her to chip in. Her portion of the Wi-Fi and phone bill? I added it to mine. She'd offer to pay me back next week or when things pick up. Those weeks turned into months. I pretended not to notice. I even paid the $420 repair on her car when her engine light came on. Told her, don't worry about it. Just get back on your feet. There were days she didn't even look for a new job. She slept in late, complained she was burnt out, and spent hours scrolling through TikTok while I worked overtime just to make ends meet. I didn't resent it then. I was too busy loving her. I'd leave her breakfast on the counter in the mornings. I'd Uber her to appointments. I paid for her favorite skincare products when she said hers ran out and she couldn't bear to break out again. One time, she wanted to attend this art show downtown. Tickets were $75 each. She hesitated at the price. I bought them instantly. Consider it a date, I said. She kissed my cheek. Called me her provider. I laughed, but part of me winced. I wasn't rich. But I was responsible. And I loved her. That made it feel worth it. But slowly, so slowly I didn't see it happening, the giving became one-sided. My wallet opened every time she sighed. My schedule revolved around her moods, her needs, her crisis of the week. I told myself it was temporary. That love required sacrifice. That she'd do the same for me if the roles were reversed. I see now how naive that was. At the time, though, I still thought we were building something. She talked about getting a puppy together. She left open tabs on her laptop with apartment listings for when we can upgrade. She tagged me in couple memes. Called me wifey in front of her friends. So I poured more in. More money. More time. More of myself. even as I started to run low. Not just in funds, but in energy, in patience, in clarity, I kept giving. Because I was in love. And because I didn't see the quiet signs of someone already halfway out the door. In hindsight, the signs were there, not loud, but steady. Whispered warnings I chose to ignore. It started with her phone. She used to scroll openly, show me memes, laugh with me. But then she started tilting the screen away. Lowering the brightness. Putting it face down when I walked into the room. I asked about it once, casually. She brushed it off. Just tired of being glued to my phone, she said. Funny, since I still saw her typing away in the bathroom. Or smiling at texts when she thought I wasn't looking. Then came the mentions. Little references to Jason, her ex. He'd pop up in conversations like an old scar she couldn't help but scratch. Jason used to take me to this coffee place. Funny, Jason used to say the same thing. Jason was the only one who ever understood my anxiety like that. I laughed them off at first. Told myself she was just comparing, just sharing memories. But something about the way she said his name, soft, lingering, made my stomach turn. When I finally asked, she got defensive. It's just memories, Ash. Don't be so insecure. I dropped it. I didn't want to be the jealous girlfriend. I wanted to trust her. So I convinced myself I was overthinking. I always had a habit of reading too deeply into things, at least, that's what she told me. But things kept shifting. She stopped texting me during the day like she used to. Stopped greeting me at the door when I came home. Our conversations became shorter. Colder. She was always tired, always not in the mood. And intimacy? That died quietly too, like a candle slowly suffocating. I'd reach for her at night and feel her body stiffen. I stopped trying. Instead, I focused on what I could control, the bills, the groceries, the daily rituals of keeping our life running. I thought if I just held things together long enough, she'd come back around. But people don't circle back when they've already left in their hearts. Then came the Thursday. She had been distant all week. Snapping at me over little things, forgetting to buy oat milk, leaving lights on. She spent more time on her phone than with me. I came home early that day and found her sitting on the couch, fully dressed, a packed duffel bag by her side. I thought maybe she was visiting a friend. But her face said otherwise. I need to talk to you, she said quietly. I sat down. My heart knew before my brain did. I need to figure things out, she said. Jason and we've been talking. A lot. I didn't plan it. It just happened. But he says he's changed. And I need to see if there's something still there. I couldn't breathe. I'm not saying I don't love you, she added quickly. But this isn't fair to either of us if I'm still thinking about him. And just like that, she picked up her bag and walked out. She didn't cry. Didn't hug me goodbye. Just left, like our entire relationship had been a layover, and now her true destination was calling. I sat on the couch for hours. Didn't move. Didn't cry. Just stared at the door she had closed behind her. And when night came, I climbed into our bed, my bed, alone. The week after Natalie left, I didn't get out of bed on my days off. I wore the same hoodie for 3 days straight. I told people I was fine. I lied to everyone, including myself. But something shifted on a quiet Sunday morning. I woke up, made coffee, and stood by the window. Sunlight filtered in through the curtains, casting warm gold across the apartment floor. And I realized. She wasn't coming back. The sadness was still there, a dull ache in my chest, but this time, it wasn't accompanied by hope. It was accompanied by reality. So I started small. I cleaned the apartment, really cleaned. Took down the Polaroids of us on the fridge. Packed her leftover things into a box labeled return. I didn't burn them. I didn't throw them away dramatically. I just removed her from my space. Quietly. Deliberately. Then I sat down and opened my bank statements. I went through the expenses, her gym membership I was still paying for, the streaming subscriptions she used more than I did, the skincare products I'd ordered on her behalf, the mobile and laptop I paid for, the car issues I paid for and much more. I made a spreadsheet. I calculated everything. Over $20,300. That's what loving her cost me, just in dollars. Not counting the emotional labor. Not counting the sleepless nights or the gut punches or the parts of myself I shrunk to make her feel bigger. And that was the moment something inside me hardened, not with hate, but with clarity. I was done waiting. Done grieving. Done giving where I was only ever taken from. I canceled her gym plan. Took her off my streaming accounts. Removed her name from the lease. Called the phone company and split our lines. And then, I went further. I reconnected with friends I'd neglected. Started going to the gym again. Read the book that had been collecting dust on my nightstand. I even picked up a side gig doing freelance design, something I'd always loved but shelved because Natalie said it was too stressful when I worked late. Week by week, I started feeling like myself again, only different. Wiser. Sharper. And for the first time in a long time, I realized, I never needed her to be whole. She needed me to hold her together. I needed to let go of her to hold myself up. It happened on a rainy Thursday evening. I was winding down from work, a cup of tea in hand, curled up on my couch watching something mindless. The apartment was calm. Mine. Every inch of it had finally shed her shadow. The curtains were new. The throw pillows didn't match her aesthetic. Even the scent in the room, cedar and bergamot, was mine. And then came the knock. At first, I thought it might be a neighbor. I wasn't expecting anyone. But when I opened the door, my breath caught. There she was. Natalie. Soaked from the rain but still done up, mascara flawless, lips glossed, hair styled like she was heading to brunch instead of crashing into the life she left behind. Ash, she said, blinking. Hi. I didn't say anything. I just looked at her. Can I come in? She asked, like we were still us. I stepped aside. She looked around as if taking inventory of what had changed. Her eyes settled on the couch. The kitchen. Me. It looks different, she said softly. It is different, I replied. She nodded like she understood, then launched into it, no warm-up. No apology. Listen, I need to ask you something, she said, setting her bag down. Things haven't exactly worked out how I thought they would. Jason. He wasn't what I hoped. It fell apart fast. I was staying with a friend, but it's not permanent, and I'm behind on some bills. I watched her carefully, unsure where this was going. I know things between us ended messy, she continued, but you always took care of me. And I need a bit of help right now. Just to get back on my feet. I wouldn't ask if I wasn't desperate. My stomach turned. She wasn't here because she missed me. She wasn't here because she regretted leaving. She was here because I had always been her safety net. And she assumed I still was. How much do you need? I asked quietly. Her eyes lit up, mistaking my calm for agreement. Maybe just enough to help cover rent for a couple of months. And I've got some credit card stuff piling up. You know, basic things, nails, skincare, my gym renewal, my phone's overdue. I could really use your help getting back into therapy too, the one you used to cover. She rattled it off like a shopping list. Like I was still her sponsor. Still the fool. And in return? I asked. She blinked. What do you mean? What do I get in return for paying your bills again? Are you moving back in? Are we rebuilding something? Are we even talking about that? She looked uncomfortable. I don't want to jump into anything. I'm just not in that space right now. But we're friends, right? You're kind. You understand me. I always felt safe with you. I knew you'd get it. I exhaled slowly. Then walked to the counter and picked up an envelope I had prepared weeks ago, a printed, stapled spreadsheet. Titled, Outstanding Balance. She raised an eyebrow as I handed it to her. What's this? That's what you owed me by the time you left. Rent. Utilities. Streaming services. Phone. Groceries. Personal expenses I covered. Your therapy. Gym. Coffee subscriptions. Clothes. $20,342.87. She stared at the number like it was foreign. You kept track? No. I didn't. I started after. After I realized I'd been the only one investing in a future that didn't exist for you. She scoffed. You're unbelievable. No, Natalie. What's unbelievable is you thinking you could walk out of my life for your ex, burn our relationship to the ground, then circle back when your lifestyle catches up to you, and expect me to fund your fallout. I didn't come here for a fight. You came here for money. That's not fair. No. What's not fair is how you drained me, financially, emotionally, then walked away without looking back. Now you're standing in front of me. Not with love, not with remorse, but with a bill for me to pay because you don't want to scale down your life. She didn't have a response. I handed her the envelope again. That's my final contribution to your lifestyle. Collect that money from Jason. Or the next fool you find. But it won't be me. Her face twisted, something between shock and humiliation. Wow, she said. So this is who you are now. No, I said. This is who I should have been all along. I opened the door. Goodbye, Natalie. She stared at me for a moment, jaw tight, but said nothing. Then, slowly, she picked up her bag and walked out. I closed the door behind her. No anger. No sadness. Just silence, peaceful, earned. She didn't love me. She loved the version of me that gave without limits. But that version of me? She's gone. And I'm never going back. It's funny how silence can feel so loud. After Natalie left, for the second and final time, the apartment didn't feel hollow like it did before. It felt full. Peaceful. Like I could hear my own thoughts again. I didn't replay the conversation. I didn't analyze her expressions or dissect her motives. I didn't scroll through old photos or stare at her contact on my phone. I just moved on. Because here's the truth, she wasn't here for love. She was here for comfort. And I'm no longer the comfort she gets to use when the world stops applauding her. In the weeks that followed, I leaned deeper into myself. My projects, my friendships, my space. The version of me that once bent over backwards for her, who financed her glow-ups, her brunches, her therapy, her gym, was now investing in something better, myself. I booked a solo weekend trip to a quiet coastal town. Something I'd always wanted to do but couldn't because Natalie didn't do quiet. I walked on the sand alone at dawn. Ate dinner with a view. Wrote pages in a notebook I hadn't touched in years. It felt like breathing after holding it in for too long. I realized I wasn't rebuilding the life I had before her. I was building a life she never fit into in the first place. One morning, while sipping coffee on my balcony, I looked at my phone and saw her name pop up. Not a call. Just a text. I'm sorry. I didn't realize how much I took from you until now. I stared at it for a second. Then I did something I never thought I'd do, not in bitterness, not in revenge. I deleted the message. No reply. No closure speech. No drama. Some apologies don't need acceptance. They just need to stay where they belong, in the past. Because liberation isn't about revenge. It's about choosing peace over performance. It's about recognizing that someone who once drained you doesn't get access to you just because they're now running on empty. It's been 6 months since she left. The woman I was back then. She wouldn't recognize me now. Not because I've changed completely, but because I finally stopped shrinking myself to fit into someone else's life. I pay for my own gym now. I buy my own groceries. I go out to places I actually enjoy, not the curated, aesthetic kind that Natalie insisted we be seen in. I reconnected with old friends. The ones she said weren't really my vibe. We laugh louder than we ever did. There's no judgment. No careful walking on eggshells. Just people who know me, for me. Work's been thriving. I landed 2 new clients and built a small side business from the freelance work she always dismissed as a waste of time. And then last week, the full circle moment. I saw her. At a local cafe, sitting alone at the edge of a patio table. She looked tired. The glamour was gone. No perfect outfit, no curated accessories. Just someone who looked like she was waiting for something that didn't come. She saw me. She smiled, small, unsure. I smiled back, brief, kind, final. Then I walked right past her. Not to be cruel. But because I didn't owe her a second more of my life. The chapter was closed. The story was done. And I was already writing a better one without her in it. Because love doesn't mean self-sacrifice. And healing. Healing is handing someone a detailed invoice for everything they took, emotionally, financially, spiritually, and choosing you instead of chasing closure. I didn't get revenge. I got free. And honestly, that's better.